Hey guys, welcome to the Bestsellers Summit. Ron Douglas here. I'm here with my partner in crime, Alice Seba. Hey Alice.
Hey guys.
Alice, how are you, Alice?
I'm doing pretty good. Excited to hear from Jim. I've known him many, many years and know he always has great stuff to share. And one of the things he's really great at is teaching you how to do things quickly, getting a lot of content done quickly. And that's what he's going to be talking about today, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Oh, yeah. Wait, was I supposed to talk yet? Sorry.
We'll bring you in a second. We just wanted to talk about we wanted to heap a whole lot of praise on you before we actually brought you in.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you honestly, Jim was him and Yannick had a product. It was one of the first internet marketing products I ever bought. It was 33 days to making money online or something like that. And that
33 days to online profits.
Yeah. And that really changed a lot for me and really got me in the game of creating my own information products. And it was like a trajectory changing product for me. And I always held him in high regard because of that. And I've seen him over the years make a lot of money. And, just what Alice was saying about how to do things quickly. One of the very first products I bought from him was that 33 days to online profits, right? That's what attracted me about it. You can do it in 33 days. Since then, he's done products like 7 days to, you had a publishing product, a 7-day book.
7 days to an ebook, but now it's under 3 hours.
Wow, he's getting quicker and quicker.
That's right.
He's gotten more and more efficient over the years. So let's do a formal intro. Jim was one of the first people to ever publish an ebook on the internet back in 1997. Alice was 10 years old.
Yes.
Since then, he has gone on to speak around the world on 4 continents on everything from self-publishing, video production, sales copy, email marketing, membership sites, and other e-commerce topics. Jim is most famous for his online software wizards, which make many repetitive and difficult tasks such as writing emails, sales letters, or video scripts push-button simple. Hey, Jim, glad you can join us for this. Look forward to what you have to share.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys having me. Ron and Alice, I just appreciate it. And it's funny to look back on all these years now that you says, yeah, I've known them for a couple of years. No, I've known them for a decade. That's kind of scary. Yep. And we started back before the turn of the century kind of stuff. That's interesting. So we got a really great presentation for you guys today. We're going to be talking about fast book creation secrets, how to get your own unique original books, ebooks, and Kindle books created in under 3 hours without sitting down to write a single word of it yourself. And the cool fact is what you're about to learn works even if you hate writing and never want to know anything about how to format a book. And so let me just give you some fun facts about Amazon in particular, because especially when people talk about ebooks, most people now when they think of ebooks, they think of Amazon. And so Amazon, last time I checked the statistics, has over 294 million active customer accounts worldwide. Their global revenue exceeds $88 billion per year net. That's actually higher than the gross national product of 2/3 of all countries on planet Earth. Think about that. Wow. A website generates more money per year than 2/3 of all countries do in their individual gross national products. Amazon owns 73, almost 74% of the e-reader market share worldwide. So the bottom line with Amazon and Kindle and ebooks and other books, this is where the customers are and this is where they spend money, especially when it comes to books. So quick story about my very first book, because it's germane. My first book took 4 years to write the content. My girlfriend at the time in 1992, who became my wife, who's still my wife, she said, you ought to write a book. And I said, yeah, that'd be cool, thinking that it would be easy. So it took me 4 years to write the content. I got rejected by over 40 publishers and actually ended up self-publishing the book myself, which meant I went down and had copies of it made at Kinko's. Now, what I did do with that was I used my self-published book to build my business as a realtor. In 1996, I took 52 listings my first year in real estate. which anybody will tell you to get 52 listings your first year in real estate is impossible. But what I did was I used my book as a business card with for sale by owners, and what I would do would just go in, I'd say, hey, if I can help you sell your house, let me know, but I've written this book on how to sell your house yourself, and I'd like to give you a copy, and if it helps you, the only thing I would ask is maybe you could give me a testimonial letter. And what ended up happening was a few people sold their houses with the book, and they wrote me a testimonial letter, and other people said, hey, we decided not to sell it ourselves, would you come sell it for us? So instead of worrying about trying to sell a book for $9.95, I was making five-figure $10,000 plus commissions off selling houses. So the cool thing is that in 1997, I started selling my book online as an ebook, and I was one of the first people ever to do that on the internet. Got written up in the New York Times, Sunday real estate section, and actually got to the point where the sales of that book at $29 a pop were paying my house payment, 2 car payments, and the electric bill each month. And the funny thing is that I never had a traditional book publishing deal, though I've had offers. But anytime you get down into the nitty-gritty of the offers, it's not worth my time. I make a lot more money selling my books myself. So, the funny thing is, think about this, all right? My first book took 4 years to write the content. And my most recent book, which I turned into a real book using CreateSpace, my most recent book took only 72 minutes to create the content, and that's what I'm going to teach you how to do in this presentation. So the typical things that hold people back from creating their book or even get started, I'm just going to give you the list really quick. This is what holds most people back, and we're going to fix these on this presentation. The length of the book, the keywords, the technology, writing something that someone else hasn't done, formatting, covers, getting started, getting finished, writing enough content. How can I make something that people will buy? The content itself, getting it written, topics, getting noticed among the millions of books online. Don't know where to start, don't know where to end. The value or writing a series of nonfiction books, maximizing Amazon, writing the content fast, finding the time, social media promos, and advertising on launch. These are the things that stop people or slow them down to the point where they never get it done. I'm going to show you how to fix all of this really, really fast. So why people like you want to create a Kindle book or a series of Kindle books or ebooks, just so that we're all on the same page. People want to do this because you make money selling books. There's financial freedom from those royalty checks, whether they come from Amazon. Well, Amazon does direct deposit now. Or they come from ClickBank or JVZoo or anywhere. It gives you control over your own time. You have no boss. You get respect as a real author and expert because it's published on Amazon. That's really the key. I mean, even back in the late 90s, I remember people would look at my book, even though they were holding it in their hand, and they would say, this isn't a real book because it's not for sale on Amazon. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? It's a bound book in your hand. You're holding it. It's a real book. But the fact that it wasn't on Amazon meant that it wasn't a real book. On the flip side, when your book is on Amazon, you are a real author, even to your mother. So the cool thing you can do with Kindle books, and this is how I make the majority of my money and have always from book sales, ebook sales, Kindle sales, is use those sales to generate leads that lead to back-end sales. Now, Ron gave me a good introduction at the beginning. I'm just going to really quickly tell you who I am as it relates to what we're going to talk about here. I'm a self-taught author, publisher, copywriter, and content creator. Been selling online since 1997. Been featured in the New York Times, Entrepreneur Magazine, countless other publications. Spent 10 years as a syndicated newspaper columnist. I'm a best-selling author of fiction and nonfiction, and have made millions in sales from ebooks, books, info products, membership sites, and interviews. And just to show you that I do walk the walk and talk the talk, these are just some of the books that I have published on Amazon. All of them have been bestsellers. So what we're going to cover today, we're going to talk about what stops most people How long does a Kindle book need to be? 2 ways to get it done, a cool checklist that you can download, a live case study, a demo of a cool new easy button wizard, and of course much, much more. Now, there are 3 things that stop most people with Kindle: time, effort, and mechanics. All right, the time to get it done, the effort it takes to do it, and the mechanics of setting everything up. In fact, that list I just shared with you previously, all of those pretty much fall into one of these 3 categories. And the cool thing is we're going to fix all 3 of this on this presentation. So first off, how long does a nonfiction Kindle book need to be? And it's funny, when I started selling ebooks back in 1997, people wanted you to solve every conceivable problem that they could have. An ebook back then, it was not uncommon for it to be 200 pages. People wanted to know everything about everything. You used to call it thud factor when you were dropping off physical stuff, but people wanted to know everything about everything, and that has changed. People don't want that anymore. What they want now, especially when we're talking about nonfiction Kindle books that solve a problem, what they want is for you to get to the point. They don't want it to take forever. So on the low end, a Kindle book needs to be about 4,000 words, which is 8 500-word pages in Microsoft Word or in Pages on a Mac. Is basically, when I say a page, when we're talking about an amount of content, I'm talking about 12-point Times New Roman font, single space, and 1-inch margins all the way around. That's a page. So 8 500-word pages on the low end, and 20 500-word pages on the high end, so around 10,000 words. That's the sweet spot for a Kindle book. Now, you can do more, of course, if you want to, but for a Kindle book, nonfiction, solving a problem for people, that's your sweet spot. So there are 2 ways to create a Kindle book, an ebook, or a print book, really any book, all right? There's the hard way and there's a smart way, and we're going to talk more about that in a minute. But first, what we need to do is we need to make a mindset shift. We need to talk about writing versus creating a book's contents. And this was a big step for me, but it revolutionized my ability to create books really fast. You need to stop thinking in terms of writing, and you need to start thinking in terms of creating. Why? Because writing means sitting down and typing at the keyboard. Now, the average person can only type between 40 and 50 words a minute. Some people are sitting there right now and go, oh, I can type a lot faster than that. Well, that's fine. But a lot of people can type a lot slower, so that seems to be the average thing. The problem is that your mind moves a lot faster than 40 to 50 words per minute. So when you're sitting there trying to compose at the keyboard, your mind starts going nuts waiting for your fingers to catch up. That's why it takes forever to type something up, and you always lose your train of thought, and it never turns out the way you expect. On the other hand, you can think and speak at 110 to 150 words per minute, which means 60 minutes of speaking, an hour of speaking, comes out to between 6,600 and 9,000 words of content, which, by the way, is the sweet spot for the length of a Kindle book. So there are 2 ways to create your content. There's what I call the mountain climber process, which is the hard way, and this is really the traditional ebook or book path. And once I go through this, Ron and Alice, I'm going to want your feedback on this, but this is how most people do it. And you can think of it as a mountain or a huge set of steps. All right, so you get an idea for a book, and you're all excited. Man, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to get rich. And so you start doing research, and then you start to outline it, and then you start to write. And then you keep writing, then you write some more, and 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 it becomes a real pain in the butt, and other stuff starts getting in the way. Then once you've got it written, then you got to create the cover, then you got to do the editing, then you got to do the formatting, then you got to do it up the website, and then you got to get on Amazon and more, and it's hard, it's long, and you give up, and most people give up down here low on the steps or the mountain. Does that sound familiar to either of you?
Yeah, I see that all the time. People, just give up and say, I'll revisit that later. I'll do it another time, and never get back to it and never get that book done, for sure.
Absolutely, and what you mentioned about, like, you know, in the early days where the ebooks were like really long, yeah, people were worried about page numbers when they were buying something, like they didn't feel they were getting the value, but that's totally changed. So it makes it a little easier, but yes, the writing, you can get bogged down in the writing for sure.
Yeah, that was funny. I remember that somebody was complaining to me about a book and said, yeah, this is only 80 pages. What are you going to teach me in 80 pages? I was just like, whatever. Here's your refund. Go away. So what I want to teach you guys now is what I call the bobsled run process, and this is the smart way. And so I'm going to give you an overview of it, and then we're going to walk through it. So basically, everybody knows or should know how a bobsled race works, all right? You set the course. You're the driver, okay? You're the first one to jump into the bobsled, and your team does all the heavy pushing, not you, all right? They push you to get you started, and then you pick up speed, and momentum takes over, and you literally get pulled downhill, and before you know it, your book is done and published. And so the smart bobsled strategy really is easy as 1, 2, 3. Step 1, you do a 60 to 90-minute interview to create the book's contents. And I'm going to assume as we go through this that you are the expert, though you can interview other people. Number 2, you have the interview transcribed. Number 3, you have that transcription turned into a book in a very specific way. And so if you're an author, if you're a speaker, if you're a coach, if you're a professional, if you're an entrepreneur or an infopreneur, this process was made for you to create books super, super fast. So the bottom line, this process I'm about to teach you is all about momentum. So you get momentum and the book is as good as done the instant you start. So this is the 3-hour Kindle book process. And I want you to note that it's 3 hours of total work by you. It's not 3 hours in a row. So step number 1 is you define your audience. And most people already know this. All right, you already know who you want to target. So who are you creating the book for? What are you going to create your book about? What's your topic? And what do people want? What's the payoff? Now, here's the key, and you want to write this down because I've been selling ebooks now online for 20 years. I've been selling ebooks. And the best ebook topics are the ones that solve a pressing, painful problem that people really want and need to solve immediately. Now, I love to use the analogy of the chainsaw accident. All right, if somebody's in a chainsaw accident, they do not ask the ambulance driver, hey, how much is this ride to the hospital going to cost me? Hey, how much is that tourniquet you're using on my leg to stop the blood? How much is that going to cost? Hey, how long is it going to take to get to the hospital? Because the other ambulance driver said that he could get me there about 5 minutes quicker. None of that happens. All they care about is fix me, and I want it fixed now, as opposed to somebody who's got a hangnail and they want to go and get a coffee at the Starbucks, and then they're going to go over to Walmart and they're going to peruse through all of the Band-Aid brands and the off brands and the other brands and the different sizes and all that, and then they're going to see if they got a coupon. A hangnail is not a problem that you want to solve with a book. You want to solve a pressing, painful problem that people really want and need to solve immediately. That is like the key step in the entire process. Would you agree, Ron and Alice?
For sure.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, cool. So this is the first step, most important step. This is where you start to, once you've done this, everything falls in place. And the time to do this really is about 10 minutes. This didn't take a long time to do. So the next step is you need to prepare. You need to actually prepare the interview that you're going to do. And this is where a large chunk of people fall down in the process called interview prep, which is getting all your questions and stuff together. So there are 2 key parts to this, all right? There's the angle of the interview, which is actually more important than the questions, and the questions that you actually ask. Now, I learned this from 10 years as a syndicated newspaper columnist. When you're doing an interview with anybody or anybody's interviewing you, the key thing is the angle, which is really the story that the interview is going to tell. And there are many different proven angles, but these are the ones that work best. Beginner's guide, critical skills, frequently asked questions, how did you get started, mistakes people make, myths and misconceptions, new idea or technique, rules of the road, state of the union, step-by-step roadmap, and tip roadmap, not roadmap. And then tips, tricks, and secrets. These are all wrappers around which you can structure all your questions for doing an interview that people are going to really want to get the information from. So instead of saying, you know, an interview with so-and-so about this topic, beginner's guide to get result, that kind of thing. And then what you want to do is create the questions for the interview and structure it with an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. So the time approximately to do this, again, is going to be about 20 minutes. The key step here, though, is choosing the angle. That's the key step here. So the third step now actually is not to do your interview, but to go ahead and order your cover of the book. You don't want to wait. Big warning here, do not make your own cover. Even if you are a graphic designer, do not make your own covers. It's not worth your time. A wise person once told me, you can't make $500 an hour if you're doing $5 an hour work. Making a book cover is $5 an hour work. I'm going to show you where I get my book covers done here in just a minute. And you might ask, why would you order the cover now? Why would we order the cover before the book is done? And the reason is because it makes it real. It builds momentum. It says to your brain, hey, I've got a book cover on the way. I got to get the book done to put with it. And the cool thing is that a Kindle cover is only going to cost you 10 to 20 bucks. And a CreateSpace cover, which would be for a print book, that's only going to cost you between $20 and $30, and a lot of times you can hire the same person on Fiverr to do both of them for you for one price. Now, the one thing is, if you're going to do a CreateSpace book, you need to have back cover copy, so you need sales copy for the back of it before you can order it. And the big thing I would tell you is that you need to make sure you have the rights to the graphics. Make sure whoever you hired to make your cover is getting, if you're not supplying the graphic, make sure you know where they're getting the graphics from, because the last thing you want to do is have a really great selling book and then have some lawyer send you a letter saying that your picture is not licensed properly. And the time to do this approximately is about 20 minutes. Why? Because you ain't making the cover. All you have to do to get a cover made is go find a couple that look like you want yours to look, and then hire somebody to make it for you. So don't make your own covers. Step number 4 is you want to record the interview using the phone. Now again, this is where another chunk of people fall down because they get bogged down with technology. What's the operative word on this slide? The phone. Everybody can talk on the phone. Don't try and do it with Skype. Don't try and do it with anything else unless you are super proficient at using, say, GoToMeeting or GoToWebinar or something like that. Use the phone. Phone a friend. All right? And all you do is just have a friend or colleague interview you. And the cool thing is if you mess up, just keep going. You can edit mistakes out of the transcript. So think of it as a conversation with a friend. So my favorite way to do this, to jump on the phone and answer questions with your friend, is using freeconferencecall.com. And as the name says, it's free. Both of you just jump on the phone, you hit the record button, you ask and answer questions, you download the MP3, and you're done. You can do this in an afternoon. Hell, you can do this at lunchtime, okay? And it's super simple. You sign up at freeconferencecall.com. You get access to your own little dashboard. You both call into the number. They give you a number and a PIN. You whack the record button. You ask and answer the questions, and then you download the MP3. Total time to do this is between 60 and 90 minutes. Why? Because all you got to do is get on the phone and whack the record button, and you're done. And the cost of this is absolutely free. Now, I want to give you guys a little bonus here. What's the thing that most people want to do with their book after they've written their book? Or what's the next way to publish your book? It's with an audio book, right? So most people spend weeks and months writing a book, and then they have to go in and read the book verbatim to create the audio version. Well, what you've just done is you've created your book by creating the audio first, and now you have the upsell, you have the lead magnet, you have the opt-in bribe, whatever it is. It's already done. You reversed the process. You record your book ahead of time as an interview, and then you have the interview transcribed, which takes us to step number 5, which is to send the MP3 file to rev.com to have it transcribed. Now, Rev is like the Walmart of transcriptions. I have no affiliate relationship with them or anything right here. They charge $1 a minute, which means a 60-minute interview is going to cost you $60. The time to do this, 10 minutes. Now, a lot of people will say, well, what if I want to transcribe it myself? Again, we go back to the you can't make $500 an hour if you are doing $5 an hour work. And so you don't do that, and if you're probably not a professional transcriptionist either, which means it'll take you 5, 6, 7 hours to transcribe your 1-hour interview. Or you spend 10 minutes and $60 and have Rev do it. And it's super easy to do. You just go to rev.com, you sign up, you upload your MP3 file, you pay for it, and they'll tell you your order was successful. You can look at the progress of it. This was a little project I did. Actually, this process works not only for book length stuff, but also for just doing lead magnets and free reports. I needed a free report, and I got a buddy of mine to do an interview with me. It was only 13 minutes long, but it was plenty of content, and I had a $10 discount, so it cost me $3. And then they send you an email and say, hey, your transcript's ready, and then you download the file, and it comes to you in a docx file, which opens on Word, and also in Pages. Docx files will open in Google Docs, they'll open in OpenOffice, they'll open in any modern word processor. But 13 minutes, I got this nifty little interview. You look down here, it was 2,300 words, so about 4 pages, that I was able to turn into, actually with formatting, a 7-page free report. So that isn't just for it isn't just for creating books. This process will work for shorter stuff too. So once we get the transcription back, we do a light edit, and the warning I have for you here is to keep your momentum up. So a light edit means you edit for spelling and punctuation. Now, you can hire somebody on Fiverr for between $30 and $60 to do a grammar and punctuation edit for you. My preferred method is to just ask a friend or my spouse or family member to look at it. The key in this step, though, is to add a cover letter about it being a live interview. Now, we speak differently than we write. People don't mind reading an interview. They do it all the time. They do it in magazines. They do it in newspapers. This is a highly accepted form of creating content. The only thing you have to do is just let them know that it was done originally as a live interview. And then what you also want to do during this light edit phase is you want to add your calls to action to the book to drive people to your website and other offers. Now, the time to do this approximately is 30 minutes. Why? Because there's a nifty little key on your computer called F7, function 7, that will do a spelling and grammar check for you. And then all I have to do is just look through it and make sure everything looks good. So if you did a little bit longer interview, then it might take you a little bit longer. Let's say it took you an hour to go through it. And I do highly recommend getting somebody else to look at it too. Step 7 is you want to get it formatted for Kindle at Fiverr. Again, you shouldn't be the one formatting your book. I see people asking all the time, how do I format my book for Kindle? I tell them, go to Fiverr and hire somebody for $10 to do it. That's how you format a book for Kindle. So a tip here is to make sure, thinking in terms of a book, books have chapters, right? Well, what you can do is take each main question that you were asked in the interview and make that a chapter in the book. So each main question becomes a chapter. That's how you get chapters in an interview book. So to get it formatted for Kindle is going to cost you $10 to $20. Just as a side note, I always get the formatted docx file back so I can convert it to PDF and sell it off my own site. So some people on Fiverr will only want to give you back like an EPUB format or a MOBI format. Make sure you get back the DOCX file. Some people may charge you an extra $10. It's worth it. And then you can get it formatted for CreateSpace. It's going to cost you 10 to 20 bucks. Again, formatting it yourself will take hours. Hiring somebody to do this for you will take 10 minutes. And again, you can't make 500 bucks an hour if you're doing $5 an hour work. So, and I jumped the gun there on my cool visuals. That's it. All right, step 8, you upload. And this is, when you get to this point with Kindle, it's almost anticlimactic. Seriously. I mean, it takes 5 minutes to upload to Kindle. You upload the graphic that somebody else made for you. You upload the book content that somebody else formatted for you. Just copy and paste in your title, your keywords, your description, whack a button, certify that it's your own content, which you did as an interview, so of course it's your own content. Then you specify the prices and you whack the button and it's published within 12 hours. And then optionally you can publish on CreateSpace and also on your own website. So congratulations. You are now the author of a unique, original, published Kindle book.
That was so easy.
And the time is approximately between 2 3/4 and 4 hours. And the real determinant in there is how much editing you want to do. So I've reduced all of this down to a checklist, which we can get to you guys. And this actually shows you exactly, well, that wasn't nearly as amazing and awesome and wonderful as I thought. Hang on. Here we go. It opened funky. We walk you through every single step. I have specific gigs that I recommend for getting stuff done. Like this is the lady that I use who does my covers. You can see she got 21,000 5-star reviews. She does great work. She'll do a basic Kindle cover for you, including one stock image for $10. And the cool thing is that she lets you go to her stock image site, choose your photo, and then you know where she's getting it from and that she's got the license for it. So on the checklist, we have links to a free conference call, gigs to get your book formatted, even the link of where to go upload for Kindle. So we'll make sure that you guys get that as part of the replay process. And so what I'd like to do is just show you for about 5 minutes the easy button. And the easy button is a piece of software I have called the 3-Hour Kindle Book Wizard. And I'm just going to give you a quickie demo of how it works. This is software that you can download that works on both PC and Mac. And how it works is you go through and answer just a few questions about you, about your audience, about the topic you want to create a book about, what you want to cover, a cool secret that you'll drop on them, and then you click the build button. Take you maybe 10-15 minutes to fill this out. The hardest part will be putting in the information about yourself, and that's not hard because it's all chopped up into easy chunks. And then you can output all the things you need to go through this process, including complete interviews. In fact, we have 10 different interview tracks here, 10 or 12, I can't remember off the top of my head. It'll write all your chapter titles. It'll let you create fast reports. It'll let you create sales copy bullets. It'll even help you to create a workbook if you want to create a workbook. And I'll show you some of the stuff that it outputs real quick. This example that I put in here was from my buddy Greg Caesar. I was going to help him write a book about selling on Amazon. So this particular one would be like the beginner's guide for how to get started on selling on Amazon. It gives you a bunch of different titles, and then it has an intro. So if the person who's interviewing you doesn't know how to do an interview, all they have to do is just read. You know, hi, my name is Jim Edwards, and today I'm talking with selling on Amazon expert Greg Caesar about every entrepreneur to get started on the right track with selling on Amazon and obtain the best results. And then it goes through a detailed interview in this case, this is a basic training one. So it's what's the first step, what's the second step, what's the third step, as opposed to other ones we have like critical skills, how'd you get started, FAQ, mistakes. So they're all completely unique and different. Depending on how long you want the interview to be, there are a bunch of extra questions that you can add into them, all of them customized with your particular topic. It will also write all of your sales copy that you need to put on the back of your book. It writes all of your bullets. It will create your About the Author page. It will create your cover letter for inside the book, so it explains to people how this was done as an originally done as an interview, but everything's customized for you and your topic. It will write, again, the About the Author page. It'll create an entire sales letter, so if you want to sell it off of your website, it writes the entire sales letter for you, both in Word so you can send it to your webmaster, or it will write it in HTML, then you can copy and paste it right over into your WordPress website. It will also do a bunch of other stuff too that I don't have time to show you because we're kind of pressed for time. But one cool thing, let's say you wanted to do your interview as a because I already made the thing. So I already had it open. Let's say you wanted to do your interview as a webinar. It'll create all of the slides for you to do this as a webinar, and then you can just format them however you want. And so it creates that for you with all the different webinar types. So it's a really, really, really cool piece of software, and I've got a special offer for you on it real quick. Basically, this is your easy button. So if you want to do the bobsled process, this helps you build momentum, get all the parts done instantly, spend your time actually creating content, and get on with your life. So it makes it insanely easy on yourself to create Kindle books, print books, ebooks, special reports, and more. Basically, the 3-Hour Kindle Book Wizard works on PC and Mac, creates all your book material, including 11 different customized interviews, the entire PowerPoint slide decks, 100+ different book titles, custom chapter titles, book-length interviews, report-style interviews, really custom interviews of any length you choose, whatever you're trying to get done. Plus, it creates all your sales copy and marketing materials, including your book listing description, your back cover copy, custom sales copy bullets, cover letter, author bio, paid sales letter, free sales letter, stealth closes. Plus, it also writes all your emails, including the announcement email teaser, your list announcement teaser for your affiliates, email asking somebody to interview you, email asking someone to let you interview them, emails asking people for referrals, interview confirmation emails, even writes the thank you letters for you, and much, much more. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Because that's the part that people don't want to do too, right? They may be into the content creation, but the selling part is harder. So does this wizard works like your other wizards, where you're basically, you open it up and it asks you a series of questions, right? You kind of fill in the basics, and then it creates all of that for you, right? Like you're not the only thing you do to create that stuff, like if we wanted to create the announcement book for an affiliate or the announcement for your affiliate, okay, all we're doing here is we're selecting what we wanted to output, and we're saving it, and bang, it writes it. So this is written like from me, because we had my name now as the person doing the interviewing. So does all the subject lines, you know, you want to make more money, check out Greg Caesar's new book, The Selling on Amazon Model, How to Make It Work. You know, Jim Edwards here with an exciting announcement. Our friend Greg Caesar just published a new book, The Selling on Amazon Model, How to Make It Work. You can grab your copy right here, and it's got, you know, all the bullets in it. You probably choose the 3 you like best. So, and then it's got the call to action based on whether it's an ebook or whether it's a physical book. Even write your PS. So yes, this works exactly the same as my other wizards. And this one carries a total value of $497. I've got a whole bunch of bonuses that come with it that I can just, basically I'll just list them off for you. You get the 3-Hour Kindle Book Wizard software that works on PC and Mac. We've got a ton of training for you, including 34 ways to make money with your own ebook,
how to create your own unique Kindle book in 3 hours flat. I've got a webinar-only bonus, 17-minute book marketing training, 15 mistakes ebook authors make and how to avoid them. Also have 2 additional bonus wizards. We have the expert interview wizard software that you can use to do. Everybody knows when you're an author, the way you sell your book is to go do interviews with everybody. They tell you, hey, get interviewed on radio, get interviewed on podcasts, do webinars with other people. Well, I have a whole